What's up? I'm coming to you what almost looks to be like a hostage video. I realize the gray wall behind me and the poor, not perfect lighting makes this look weird, but that's fine. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you already know me. My name's Eli. It's great to see you. And yeah, if you ever want to make yourself sound smarter than you actually are, especially in church circles, you might want to go ahead and quote an obscure author or philosopher, or like I said, in church circles, one of those early church fathers. Make people, oh wow, that guy reads Augustine and Polycarp, and right, you just drop some obscure figure with an obscure quote and immediately let people know I'm here. So there's a quote by St. Augustine, by the way. And he may have said it, he may have not. I actually love this quote. I'm going to paraphrase it, whether or not he actually said it. And it's this quote, and it talks about the idea of hope. Hope having two daughters. Hope's two daughters are anger and courage. Anger at the way things are, and the courage to speak up, to see that they do not remain the way they are. And honestly, I think a lot of times people kind of always go through this wanderlust of trying to figure out what it is they're looking for, or they look at the state of the world and they think to themselves, they almost feel powerless. I have felt like that many times. And I determined for myself that if I see something, I at least want to put it as a matter of public record, even if I'm the only one that ever sees this, or two other people actually see this. I just want to know that I said these things. And so I wonder, when you feel hopeless, but you do also feel the anger and courage, what happens when we get angry at the wrong things? What happens when we allow the wrong voices to influence us to be angry at those wrong things? If we're honest, living in today's world, there are so many companies and individuals out there with the financial motive to dominate our time and pull different emotions out of us, whether it is wants, or to confuse those wants as a need, to feel desire for something. That's why in all those food commercials, everything always looks better in the food commercial than what you get handed to you in a drive-thru, right? And there are voices and influencers in this world that want to pull anger at us. We need to be angry about something and at something. And so the question remains, what happens when our energy is getting directed in the wrong areas? A general reading of the Gospels, I think, will show you the type of things that Jesus got angry about. And pretty much it was this. It was when people wrapped themselves up with the cloak of religion, with the cloak of righteousness, and they used it to serve themselves at the expense of others. Think about when he contrasts the Pharisee with the tax collector. The Pharisee comes out and uses his perceived public piety to reinforce his social standing. But Jesus points out to the humble tax collector, who really sees his place and actually has this humility as he comes into his religious practice. Think about how he went at the establishment of the people around them, going so far as to call them whitewashed tombs. Or the one time he took up aggressive physical action at his environment, it was the changing of money in the temple that people were using to get rich off of. And so I think when you look at the Gospels, you see this common thread of people who use religion. They use ideas like piety and morality to basically advance some agenda or place themselves above others. And so I know what makes me angry today. It's when people want to take something that I've held so deeply personal, and that is the gospel. That is the idea of what it means to follow Jesus, what that looks like, and how I interact with those around me. Seeing people take that and their actions show a pattern of self-interest. How can I use this to advance my brand? How can I use this to advance my political capital? How can I use this to impose my will upon others. So basically, someone's faith just becomes another part of their brand or a personality quirk, or it becomes a calling by which they do things that don't align with what we would see Jesus do. And believe me, we have more than enough time to get into specifics, and I'm sure we would love to. But for right now, I think it's important for us to just realize that we live in a day and age that we have been chasing so many imaginary wolves, we did not realize how many snakes we'd let in through the front door. People are always saying, hey, watch out for a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? Or my sheep know my voice. And we've been so busy chasing the wrong voices that snakes have crept their way into the garden. And this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about us as men of faith, us as people of faith, that we would associate our things that are so anti-gospel that it really should leave a bad taste in our mouth, and yet we find ourselves wanting to make any and every kind of moral justification for what people in power, people with social capital, people who have financial motivations. We go out of our way to justify things that don't look right. This isn't about me trying to cast judgment on other people, because believe me, the plank in my eye is probably bigger than most, right? And this isn't me about trying to call into account who is or who isn't genuine, or none of that. This is, though, about me watching people on a genuine journey to discover who Jesus is, and then being railroaded by things they see that don't make sense and things that we shouldn't allow. I don't think this is casting judgment, but I think it's fair to say that there are people who seek to gain influence, political power, wealth by attaching themselves like a leech or like a parasite to the kingdom. And honestly, to varying degrees, we might be all guilty of this. I'm probably a hypocrite, but I'm not going to let that stop me from being angry at the right things and having the courage to speak on truth. What does this mean going forward? I don't know. Here's the thing. I know Jesus affirmed the humanity of all people. Even when religious law condemned people to death, Jesus affirmed the humanity of all people. Even when concerns about public safety, especially in terms of health, forced individuals to isolate themselves from society, Jesus affirmed the humanity of all people. When pressed into giving an example of what it meant to be a model citizen, Jesus used one of the most hated archetypes you can use in the Good Samaritan. It shouldn't be controversial to say that Jesus affirmed the humanity of all people. And that's it, right? What's our reaction to that? What's controversial about saying that nowadays? Is it because we've had the right voices teaching us about what it means to love our neighbor? Or is it possibly that we've let the wrong voices corrupt our worldview into viewing everyone outside of our circle as the other? We can say we love people, but unless our actions and our associations bear that out, then we're no different than any other whitewashed tomb that you might drive by on a Sunday afternoon.